Good morning, channel friends.
Hello.
Where are we?
My place.
What are we doing?
We need to paint Iacopo's bedroom.
How much longer?
A little.
Very little, about 10 days left.
Yes.
And let's just say, if you have to do the same thing, maybe don't wait until the last 10 days like we did. But we've always got loads to do, so we've left it to the last minute. But today there are lots of things to do that will be really useful for them, because we're going to paint this wall. We'll show you how to make a straight line using a spirit level, something we don't use much because we usually just measure with paper tape, using the new pile rollers, and I'll explain properly how to use them. Using two colors because we're doing a different paneling effect compared to the top part, we'll put up a small bar, a few nice touches, and then we'll do a wall with wallpaper. So it's important because for many months people have been asking us to show how we put up wallpaper on a wall. Actually, we do it in a very simple way, by applying the glue directly to the wall. We'll be using a really fun wallpaper, but it's paper wallpaper, so you need to follow this tutorial carefully. Shall we get started?
Let's start.
There's no time. Let's start. So, we begin by marking out the wall with this green line. What is this green line? It's a self-leveling laser, so even if, let's say, the floor isn't straight, or if it's placed on spots that aren't perfectly level, it adjusts itself, right? You've already used one because you have one yourself.
Yes.
But this one is really very good, excellent. We're not using it because today we don't want to start putting up masking tape or anything else. These walls are in great condition because Emma has done some work on them, and it's smooth, straight, lovely plasterboard. But I won't have any problems when applying the paint with paper tape or anything else. But I want to see how easy it is, so on top, dark sand wall, obviously, and underneath, royal green wall. We'll use the roller, and I'll go and cut in the corners, since we're only doing this wall, with the new small Architetto brush. It's a really good brush because the bristles are staggered, they taper at the end, and it's perfect for getting into the corners. So, let's get started. We'll show how to use it and how to work with a spirit level, because we'll leave it there, it stays in place, we never remove it, and when we'll have to make the division, it will help us, right?
Yes.
So, today we're using two different types of rollers. Going up, we use the roller, the larger one with a medium nap, and I've put it on the longer handle, because when working higher up, I avoid having to use very long poles to reach up there. A two-step ladder or a small step ladder will be enough for me to reach up high, and I won't be putting myself at risk, right? I won't risk falling with poles or other things. Instead, for those working on the lower part with the royal green, we use a smaller roller. Both have, in fact, the new roller with a medium nap which actually holds quite a lot of paint and releases it very slowly and doesn't leave marks. In my opinion, if we're lucky, we'll finish this with just one coat, a single one.
I think so too.
I'll put this in green, which we'll use soon. So, shall we start?
Let's go.
You go with the roller on this part, and I'll do the upper part.
Yes.
Let's get going. The lower part will be royal green and we'll do as before. Same roller, same brush, off we go. If you notice that it has a different handle, it's because it was a prototype, but the bristles are the same as those on the Architetto Junior. Look how good the royal green looks here. Look at that lovely contrast. Emma, are you convinced?
Yes, absolutely.
Let's go then. We've moved into the living room because first of all we want to show you the wallpaper we're using, which is beautiful. Who chose it?
Actually, Federico chose it.
He made this choice. We weren't sure to pick a geometric pattern or wallpaper that would last as he grows older. But he said that he's not even born, so why are we thinking about wallpaper for when he's older, when grown up? So this will be a neutral wallpaper which will go on the wall next to the one we've just painted, and now we're going to start making the glue.
Yes.
You put in the powder, as always, because you're the expert, and I'll stir. I've already put about 2 fingers. Yes, 2 fingers of water in the basin here. It depends on how much wall you have to cover, okay? We might put in a bit more because it's quite an absorbent wall, since it's plasterboard painted with a coat of standard paint, and will definitely give the whole wall a first coat of glue, and once that's dry, we'll apply a second coat. This really ensures perfect adhesion. Go on. Making the glue is simple. Tell us your trick.
We add it like polenta, sprinkling it in.
Go ahead. Now, if there are any decorators watching, please don't hold it against us. But we're really trying to do our best because we're precise and we want to have perfectly smooth, lump-free glue. Well, this is a method we like because we don't want to use the whole box. You see, we're always looking to save, and we can't be bothered to read the instructions to dilute the whole box. We don't need it, we've only got a small wall, so we avoid waste and just make a bit of glue. If we run out, we just make more, never wasting any glue.
We know it's ready when it turns a bit cloudy, so when the water is no longer clear.
All right, Emma, but how long does it usually take to set, to become creamy?
About 10 minutes, 15 max.
All right, so in the meantime we'll prepare the glue, then start cutting a few strips of paper, and while you're cutting, maybe I'll go ahead and start spreading the glue on the wall. Yes, I think we can wait a moment and see how it turns out, because as you can see, the bowl is white so it's a bit harder to tell, but you can already see it's starting to get cloudy. You can see it's no longer transparent. Now, don't be fooled here. Don't keep adding more glue powder. Wait a moment. Keep mixing and stirring because in the meantime it starts to work. It gets thicker, it becomes creamy, just as wallpaper glue should be. Cutting the paper is actually not difficult. Of course, you need a bit of patience and you have to follow a few simple rules. So, Emma has measured that the height of the wall is 2.70 meters. We've calculated 2.70 meters. I've already made a little mark here and another one here, and I draw a line. And once I'm sure, I take my cutter and cut. I've put down 2 layers of cardboard so as not to damage the table. We're not being completely precise because Emma measured the whole wall as 2.70 meters, but we've also got 5 or 6 centimeters of skirting board, so the baseboard. So when we go to put it up, from top to bottom or bottom to top, whichever you prefer, we can easily adjust it to level. This is important, so it's a good idea to always leave that extra centimeter, which allows us to reposition it easily, but it also lets us trim it if the wall isn't perfectly straight. One thing you do need to watch out for, though, is the waste, which is marked on the wallpaper, and I'll show you that now. In all rolls of wallpaper, when you obviously buy a whole roll and do the walls like we're doing today, so we're talking about quite a few repositionings, you need to pay attention to this, 52 centimeters for repositioning. What does that mean? It means that between one pattern and the next there are 52 centimeters, so when you need to place the second sheet next to the first, you have to wait 52 centimeters before you find the matching point. So this is actually the waste that you might end up with if you're not lucky enough to start off just right. Of course, sometimes the waste can be much less. It could be 20 centimeters, 30 centimeters. What do you need this for? You need it to calculate how much wallpaper to buy based on the size of the wall. In fact, there are also websites that we often use where you can go. For example, just type in wallpaper measurement. You enter the height of the wall, the width and the waist, so this detail which is very important. On the Elisa Home website, we always mention it. For every wallpaper we upload, we always include the waist, all right? So you can simply enter the height, width and the waist, and this website will automatically tell you how many rolls to buy. Of course, they also take into account any excess, so you might need 2.5 rolls, but they'll ask you to buy 3. However, this is just the way all companies that produce wallpaper work, but we teach you how to reuse it on furniture as well. So be careful, if you don't use it all, don't think of it as a waste. Even if you have some left over after repositioning, even if it's just 40 centimeters, always keep it. Never scrunch it up because it can be useful for drawers or small pieces of furniture. Wallpaper is always something that can be reused in many ways. Now we'll take the glue and apply the first coat, but in the meantime we can already cut the second strip, and we'll show you how to do it easily, without any stress, because usually using wallpaper always seems like it's too difficult, but now we'll show you how easy it is. All you need is a table. You need to be calm when you start this job. Maybe one day you cut the wallpaper, and if you don't have much time, you can start applying it the next day. Emma always does something very clever. She figures out where to start, and we're starting from the corner. So here there's the colored wall, and here we're putting the wallpaper. So we're starting from the corner where the dark sand and royal green walls meet, all right? That first strip is the first piece of wallpaper we've cut, and we've written one on the back. This way, if you start putting up the wallpaper tomorrow but cut it tonight while you're relaxed, tomorrow you'll already have all the wallpaper numbered. What do we do on a table? We lay out the wallpaper in advance and get the work ready. So, let's go here and try to be as precise as possible. As you can see, we're matching up the pattern here. There we go. We match it up here, and then we can easily make a small mark with the pencil. And so we continue on the other side as well, measuring. And there you have it. On this side we've been precise, we've cut accurately, and we continue on the other side as well. Wait, I need a bit more margin to reach the end. So, we start from this mark, from this symbol, right?
Yes.
I've positioned it, I've measured, now I cut. If you have a long ruler like mine, you can go straight in with the cutter. Otherwise, make the line with a pencil first and then go over it with the cutter. Et voila! This is the rest of the roll, which will be used again to cut the third strip. So, let's take it, roll it out, and carry on. Slice number 1, slice number 2, slice number 3. We'll see if that's enough, or if we need to make a fourth one as well. Let's start with a step that not all upholsterers do. But for me, it's essential, especially when I have a wall that might absorb quite a lot of the glue that goes under the paper. By using this method of applying the glue directly to the wall, we need to prevent the wall from soaking up the glue. So what do we do? First, we give the whole wall a good coat of glue. Obviously, it needs to be spread out well, smooth, without lumps. This is the consistency of the glue once it has set. See? A gelatinous cream. And it's well. The first coat of glue is drying. On the first section of wall, where I will start to hang the wallpaper, it's already dry enough, and that's what we want. Now, what do? We apply a second coat of glue only to the area where we are obviously going to put up the first strip of wallpaper. I'll leave myself about 55 centimeters. I think the wallpaper is 53. Yes, 53. So, 55 centimeters. That way I'm good. Remember that wallpaper paste doesn't stain the walls, so even if you get some on the ceiling, don't worry, a damp cloth will remove it, and it won't stain the wallpaper either. It's designed for that. That's why you should use this rather than other types of glue. Even when you slightly overlap and run your finger along with the glue, you'll never get any stains, so it's a great guarantee. Can you hold it, please? I'll climb up and start applying the glue on the first section of the wall. Make sure to be generous with it. I use this particular method where I don't actually apply the glue directly to the paper itself, but instead, I put the glue on the wall and you just need to pay close attention to this small but important detail. The paper I'm using today is actual paper, not vinyl paper, so it's thinner. Even though it's still very strong, it's not a paper that tears easily at all, all right? If you happen to use vinyl papers, which are generally thicker than standard types, think carefully about your approach and maybe apply a bit more glue to the wall or even apply it on the back of the paper as well. This is up to you. Always use the right glue for the wall. Don't use different types of glue because, as I mentioned earlier, apart from staining the paper and the surrounding walls, they may not guarantee that the paper will stick properly to the wall. And there you have it. From the moment you spread the glue on the wall to when you stick the paper on, you shouldn't wait too long, otherwise it will start drying out again. And you know that heat rises, so the top part starts drying straight away. So, I quickly finish applying the glue to the first section of the wall. As a reference, I use the side of the wall because Emma told me it's straight, and I trust her. Otherwise, guys, you might need to measure just to be absolutely sure you're not going up along a part that isn't straight, all right? The great thing about wallpaper is that it always gives you a bit of extra time to work with, which can be really helpful during installation. For example, as you can see me doing here, you can stick it back onto the wall and then peel it off again. So don't worry, because usually, even when you're just starting out with wallpaper, if you use the right glue and good quality paper, it's not difficult. All right, thanks, Emma. A plastic spatula, so we don't damage it, and a dry cloth. Usually, to avoid tearing slightly more delicate paper wallpapers, I do this, which is very important. Also remember that at this stage, one of the things you must avoid is wrinkles or bubbles. So, when you start, make sure the wallpaper is really sticking to the wall as firmly and as smoothly as possible, just like this, nice and even, and off you go. Look at it from a side and against the light. You can see and feel with your hand to check if there are any bubbles. At the moment, there aren't any. Slowly and carefully, I work my way down, gently pressing the wallpaper onto the wall, double-checking the corner, cleaning the spatula, and gluing everything. A good start is half the battle. Always remember that. It's also important to make sure the sides are sticking really well. That's why I always keep a clean, dry cloth in my hand to clean my spatula and to properly wipe everything from the edges. Let's press it down. As soon as the paper starts to absorb the glue, it automatically becomes perfect. We need to push out all the bubbles from the surface, so here as well. Run your hand over it, and if you feel any bubbles, make sure to slide them out towards the edge. The first strip of wallpaper is already nicely stuck on. Now I'll show you how to put up the second one, but first, while the paper is still a bit stiff and not too soft, I'll cut it so it sticks better. I'll cut it at the base underneath. If you want to do a good job, you can also use the spatula first and cut it. This way, you also avoid tearing or damaging the paper if it happens to be too light and delicate. See, this is quite a tidy job. If it hasn't come away in some spots, just go over it a little more. Voila! Sing! Very easy. This way, we're 100% sure it's stuck right down to the bottom, because if you don't do this straight away, sometimes a bit of air gets in underneath the glue and then it doesn't stick properly. And voila! The second strip needs to join up with this first one. A tip: when you apply the glue, be a bit more generous and let the glue overlap onto the first piece of wallpaper. Then just go over it with a damp cloth, remove the excess, and nothing will happen. The important thing is that the leaves, in this case the patterns, are joined together as closely as possible. Watch carefully how it's done. Always buy wallpapers that are really, really high quality, please. This is an important point I'm making because this is what should happen. If you've put it on incorrectly, the paper shouldn't fall apart in your hands. You should be able to remove it and reapply it, all right? So be careful, because the quality of the paper is crucial. Now, please, get as close as possible and, using your finger, slide it along the paper so you can get it as close as possible, 100%. A really important thing to remember is this: if you've already put a bit of glue on the paper, then this job becomes much easier to handle. Once you've made it stick here, you can also gently press it down. Remember that you can always go back, at any time, and gradually work your way down, pressing it into place as you go along. You need to make sure you've lined it up as closely as possible with the design. That's really important. It needs to join up 100%. You shouldn't be able to see the join at all. That's absolutely crucial here as well. The pattern must be perfectly aligned. One thing you really need to remember is this: precision when sticking it down is especially important at the join in the pattern. All right? There we go. Be careful when pulling the paper so you don't damage it at all. And look, the important thing is to bring it as close as possible so that the gap has no thickness and is really tight. Voila! Emma, take over.
We're going to put in a dividing strip.
At first, I thought you'd paint it, but in the end,
We're leaving it as natural wood.
since it's the right wood.
It's the right wood colour. It matches the wallpaper and one of the wardrobe doors too.
So once again, we're making use of the spirit level. We go exactly to the middle of the trim, which needs to be halfway between the white dark sand part and the royal green part, and we fix it in place with a bit of Univille glue and some nails. Let's turn it over. Glue. Let's make sure our strip sticks 100%. It's almost halfway. It's halfway here. Perfect. I'll put in the first nail. Emma, can you hold it?
Yes.
That's good, like that. Always remember, if any drops of glue drip underneath, take a damp microfiber cloth with a bit of water and wipe it off. Why? Because the wall is water repellent, it's very easy to clean and the vinyl glue is not visible. I'll carry on. A few more nails. A very important rule when removing masking tape, whether you're taking it off enamel, plastered walls, or walls with the wall, is that you must always follow two precautions. Either remove the masking tape while the paint is still wet, so as soon as you've finished, or use a cutter before taking off the tape. Why? Because Magic Wall adheres so well to the masking tape that it creates a film effect, and if you don't want to strip the paint off the wall, please don't do it. So, use a cutter, go here where the skirting board is, always cut along it, and then remove the tape. Even if you might think that it's really not necessary, perhaps because the masking tape is already in the space or gap. There could be 1,000 reasons why you think it's not necessary to use the cutter, but you should always do it. Even if you think there's a bit of a gap between the wall and the knife, don't trust it. Whether it's magic paint or magic wall, if you're working on walls, especially more than on furniture, Make sure you always go over it with the cutter first. Always. Now I'll finish up, clean the bedroom. We'll rearrange the furniture and show you how it looks. This restyling is finished. Your turn to speak.
Yes, we wait for Iacopo. Let's say this.
Only 9 days left.
Yes, about 10 days.
So, as I said at the beginning of the tutorial, don't wait until the very, very last minute. It's better not to. Even though we helped her and she was brilliant as always, everything here was chosen by you.
Yes.
We obviously didn't choose the combinations, because they're in Emma's taste, of course. And the cushions, everything else, she had already prepared them for the baby's room.
Everything was ready.
It was all ready, all planned out.
Only the color was missing.
Can we say this bed was once Federico's? When he was little, always remember you can bring pieces from mum and dad into new homes, give them a fresh coat of paint, and save everything. Never throw anything away. Everything can be restored, right?
Right.
We send our best wishes to Emma.
Thanks.
I'm the one who's worried. I'm a bit emotional for her. Anyway, this is a lovely new arrival for the Magic Paint family. We're all here waiting for Iacopo. And we hope he arrives soon because there's a lot of anxiety here. Remember, don't look for magic paint everywhere, only in 2 places. 1, elisa.home.com, the only Italian site selling it online. If instead you want to go to a good retailer, visit www.magicpaint.it. They're divided by region so you can find one near you, your town or city, alright? Now, today we've made a slightly technical video, where we explained how to put up the wallpaper, what to do, how to make glue. The use of this spirit level, which is important, especially if you're like us and hate measuring. It really took us very little time measuring this way. It was nice and easy, wasn't it? One thing, wall is fantastic indoors, but it's spectacular outside the house because it holds onto the color pigments even when exposed to UV rays for many years. It's really a paint that gives its best outdoors. It's water repellent and washable, and it's truly stunning when used on the outside of the house. So keep that in mind when you do things like low walls, gardens, a boiserie like this. Well, they can also be done on the outside.
Absolutely.
With little expense, you get the best results. Have a good look at the colors. We'll say goodbye.
Goodbye.